Yahushua Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai Ba'Shem Rakakodash and Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. I just want to make a quick shout out to the brother and the sisters that came out from Philadelphia to the camp. Shalom to you all. Keep watching the videos. Stay strong. One of the sisters asked about the elect. Yeah, the only that will be saved, and the elect consists of women and children. So can a sister or sisters be part of the elect? Of course. They're not part of the 144,000. They would be a part of the multitude and 7 verses. So, if you remain in the faith, truly in the faith and sincerity, and to the end, you are one of the elect. So anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, An Assembly of Great Nations from the North Country. An assembly of great nations from the North Country singular. So we were listening to the IUIC after we got out of closed camp, and it was Bishop Nathaniel, or General Nathaniel Alaga. Now he's Bishop General, whatever. He was going into a lot of prophetic scriptures, and he had made a statement that like he had somebody read this. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read. I'll read the whole verse. It says, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon." We know that Babylon is America. An assembly. Other places in the scriptures it says daughter Babylon. An assembly of great nations from the North Country. Now what I may do is go to the commentary. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and do that. The North Country is talking about Russia. The assembly of great nations are talking about the former USSR. See, the USSR is just like the United States. Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Oklahoma, North Dakota, South Dakota, California, Nevada, Texas, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida are all states of the contiguous states of the United States. But they're really countries. They're really countries. Like if you ever heard the term landlocked countries, you have certain countries that are locked, that are circled with other countries around it. So the borders separate these countries. So these countries or states in the United States are nothing but countries. New York is a country, but they call it state. And the word state means condition. That's all it means. When you deal with the word New York State and state of New York, those are two different things. State of New York is the condition of the contiguous state. It's under federal rule. Before federal rule, it was just a separate country, which that was called New York State or Connecticut State. Like I said, check your law books for New York, the consolidated laws of New York. The state of mean the condition of, not the contiguous meaning touching the actual land. And that's a whole another subject. So it says here, matter of fact, I'm going to read the third verse. This whole chapter, chapter 40, Jeremiah 49, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, you have to read the entire 3 chapters. It doesn't give it justice just to go into pull out some verses. And as you read it, you clearly understand that that's talking about, that's not talking about ancient or pagan Babylon. It's talking about so let me go to the commentary here. Okay. Okay, so we got commentary. And normally I go to the Bible Hub just to see what these so-called Christian scholars think about this particular precept. Okay, so normally I go to Cambridge. The others, I go to Cambridge. Normally it's a shorter, but it's commentary. It says an assembly of great nations such as Ararat, Mini, Ashkenaz. Well, they're saying it's European nations like NATO nations. An expert, mighty men, better than the MG, whatever that means. Maketh childless, and the Hebrew to the 2 readings differ by the position of a dot. None shall return rightly, whatever that returneth not. It's talking about the missiles, empty hand, making the reference to be the return of warriors, abundant missiles, the missiles that will not void. I believe it's talking about all the missiles are going to be shot. The scripture says, spare no arrows. So now I didn't mention Russia. It did mention some European. It mentioned Germany, Ararat, which is Turkey. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Okay, we have Matthew Henry's concise commentary. So instead of going right to the verse, they go to chapter 50, verses 8 to 20. The desolation that shall be brought upon Babylon is set forth in a variety of expressions. The cause of this destruction is in ancient Babylon. The Neo-Babylon was never destroyed. It was a surgical strike. The king and his lords were assassinated, and the kingdom was kept intact, and the Medo-Persian Empire took it over. And the Medes, I will go through that again. I believe the Medes are sons of Japhet that got with the Persians, the Elam, the 2-nation kingdom. Or another thing that Bishop Nate said, he mentioned the king of Babylon, and so, in other words, that he was a Cushite, wasn't a Cushite. And that's what something that they taught at the main school, that Nebuchadnezzar was a Cushite. Nebuchadnezzar was not a Cushite. Nebuchadnezzar was an Assyrian. The lion with eagle's wings that stood up on its feet was the expansion of the Assyrian Empire. So you have the Assyrians, then you have the Babylonians, which are both kings, king of Assyria, king of Babylon, were both Assyrians. Now, the reason why they taught that, because the first king of Babylon was Nimrod, which he was a Hamite. But the actual rulers of the Neo-Babylonian kingdom were Assyrians. And the Medes were of the sons of Japhet, because they lived in that region. But I'm going to double check on that, because I did do videos in that, and on that subject, who the Medes, among the Persians and the Medes. And I did do the math, so to speak. I put the facts together. It says, the cause of this destruction is the wrath of Yahweh. Okay, good. I'm glad they said that. Babylon shall be wholly desolate. And now, Neo-Babylon was not desolate. It was not shot, arrows were not shot on it. Going to the history, it was a surgical strike. The king and his lords, they were drunk and they were full. They were eating a lot of the king's food, which was a lot of carbs. They were carved up, so it makes you sluggish. Plus, you had alcohol in you. And their gods were literally down. And there was the Most High intervened in the spirit and had a finger appear out of nowhere and write in their language. And it was a hidden language. They had to get interpreters. If I hadn't gone through this in a while, but the term was mini tickle Sepherson or something like that. I'm not going to go to it. I believe it's in Daniel chapter 5. Like I said, I hadn't gone through that, but that's where you get the term. The writing is on the wall. So the interpretation was, your kingdom, you have been found wanting, and your kingdom is coming to an end. In so many words. And that very night, Darius had put out the order to his men to, assassinate him. And I slit his throat, because their gods were down. It says, and just like the Babylon the Great, their gods are going to be down. It said, for she have sinned against Yahweh. Sin maketh men a mark of the arrows, which in this case are missiles. The Most High's judgment, the mercy promised to Israel of the Most High, shall not only accompany, but arise from the destruction of Babylon. And they don't know that it's America. They don't know. Like I said, nothing. There was nothing set on fire. No buildings were destroyed, leveled, razed. It says, these sheep shall be gathered from the deserts and put again into good pasture, talking about Israel. We the sheep. All who return to the Most High and their duty shall find satisfaction of soul, in so doing deliverance out of trouble, comforts indeed, when fruits of the forgiveness of sin. So they really don't understand. So now let's check out Barnes' notes on the Bible. I will raise or stir up an assembly of great nations. The Medo-Persian Empire was as much an aggregate of discordant nations as that of Babylon. So they're saying that the Assembly of Nations doesn't mean two nations. That's just two nations, Medes and the Persians. So Barnes didn't understand what's going on. From thence, from the north, i.e., by the great nation coming thence. So the land of the Medes, north of that is Russia. Return in vain, which are the missiles, a proverbial expression for ill success. Compare Isaiah 55, verse 11. Here the skillful warrior returns not empty, which we know is not talking about that. So anyway, let's come back over here. Where am I? So Bishop Nate was correct about America being having missile shot on them by, he mentioned NATO, but he said like I said, he had the individual read, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, America, an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves," and that north country represents the former USSR, which USSR is an assembly of nations under one banner, under Russia. It's called a USSR, like you got the United States of America, because there were several countries, New York, Connecticut, started with the original 13 colonies, which were countries, and then they became states. So the USSR, which the Most High is bringing them former nations back together, Ukraine is a former member of the USSR. So they broke off during the 90s. So the USSR stands for United Soviet Socialist, what is it? Republics are states or countries. The Roman Empire did the same thing. It started out of Rome, and they took down countries, and that became the Roman Empire. Greece, Germany, Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Gauls, which are France. You got the Franks, the Gauls, and so forth. You got Greece, Yawan. So that became a country, Roman country, or Roman rulership, because they would kill them. They said, "Look, you got to be a part of this." That's what happened with the Civil War. The southern states didn't want to be a part of it, so they forced them to be a part of it. There's what's the term? I think it's the Confederacy of Nations. Somebody help me out. Which means there's another term where they had the choice of whether they wanted to join the union or be against the union. They chose to be against the union, which they had a right to. And but the North said, "Nah, you're gonna be a part of this." That's that whole Civil War. And they won and they caused them to be a part of the union. So it wasn't no choice thing, but it was part of the Most High's plans to bring them together as one country. What many countries coming together as one. What's on your dollar, on the U.S. dollar bill? E pluribus unum, out of many one. So America is out of many one. It says of great nations, Ukraine was one of them. Belarus is another. Matter of fact, let me do this. The Medes is around about here. That's why when you read Isaiah 13, it talks about the Medes. The Medes are around about here because there was no name for Russia. This was no man's land. You go up in here, you might never come back out. So the Edomites and Jake, because Jake really established, they founded Russia. They were the Scythians, the barbarians. When you do the history on Russia, Russia didn't come about until the 865 AD. So you got individuals saying that the seven horns, one of them is Russian. Russia was not even around at that time. So Russia is not a part of the seven heads. So when Bishop Nate asked the brother to read it, and he said an assembly of many nations, he said the NATO nations. Germany, Romania, Belarus is part of Russia. Ukraine is formerly part of Russia. They're trying to get back. Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan. That's all a part of Russia. And they're one of the few nations that possess missiles that can hit America. From here to here, that's 5,000 miles. The Satan II missile system can reach double that. It can 5,000 from here to here. It's 11,000. 11,000, which is 18,000 kilometers, which is about 11,000 plus miles. So they have enough where they can shoot the missiles over and come back, if that was possible. But none of the missiles are going to come back. None of the arrows are going to come back. Jeremiah chapter 50. So what Israel is doing, right, is they're just stirring the flames of war. And look at this. You got you got the land of Israel, which is supposed to be all this. But they're up here. Look at how close to that is to Turkey. Turkey is talking about getting involved in the war. That's one of the NATO nations, not the EU nations. And that's the feet of them being broken. I believe this is the only nation of the NATO nations, the NATO alliance, that practice Islam. So they're backing up the Persians, which are their religion is Islam. And then you have Iraq over here in that same region. This is the Levant right here. This is the Valley of Decision. You have Iran right here. Yeah, Afghanistan. They always hated the West, which is over here and up here. Egypt, they're pushing them down into Egypt. Egypt's pissed off. God will be a guard unto them. That's Saudi Arabia. So this is a hotbed right here. But the assembly of nations from the north is not talking about these European nations. It's talking about Russia. This is northeast of the U.S. This is northwest. Europe, you got the UK, Germany, Poland, Australia, Italy, France. Oh, what is it? France, they're the only ones that possess long-range missiles. What else? I believe Germany, but I'll go into that. So all this stuff is going to be fired up from what's going on over here. The Israeli invasion of the Gaza. If you notice, not too far away, you got Ukraine. There's a war going on. This is a hotbed. There's all this area right here. Belarus is on the side of Russia. It's an ally of Russia. Poland is an ally of Ukraine, but they're a NATO nation. Ukraine wants to be a member of the NATO, but they're not going to let them, because as soon as they become a part of it, all the NATO nations have to go. That's Third World War. Even Biden said that. He said, no, we couldn't be involved militarily, because that would be the only smart thing he said in his presidency. One of the few smart things he said no, because that would be World War III. And he would be right. But ultimately, they are going to lock horns. So the northern from the north, Assembly of Nations are talking about these republics, the former USSR, coming back together uh, as the USSR again, but now it's just called Russia. Remember, the USSR were a bunch of nations that came under the banner of Russia as a republic, just like the U.S. See all those markers? Those are all countries that became a nation or one country. So now, let me come back over here. Jeremiah 50, verse 3, for out of the north there cometh up a nation against her. That nation that's going to come up against her is Russia. China will be involved too, which China touches Russia. It's south of Russia. They're great allies together, which shall make her land desolate. Whose land? The U.S. Says the same thing in Isaiah 13. And none shall dwell therein, because it's going to become the biggest desert on the planet. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. They're going to, anybody that's left in the soils of America is going to be become a part of the desert. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations. That's the former USSR, not Europe, from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken, their arrows, their missiles, Satan too, what is it, what's it called, the hypersonic, is it called? Hypersonic missile system, if I'm not mistaken. I know sonic is in there, where that particular missile system cannot be detected by radar. Scriptures speak about they're coming as a thief in the night. The arrows, like I said, of the ICBM shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. So all these missiles will be shot, will empty out. The purpose of the missiles is just to destroy, to waste it to destroy, and that's it. We ain't gonna have a museum where we got 5 missiles up in there. These didn't shoot off nothing. That's why the Babylon's gonna be utterly destroyed. Another thing that Bishop Nate said, Rome is gonna be wiped off the map. Europe is no. Well, wait a minute. How are we gonna get the slaves? How are we gonna get Edomite slaves? The bulk of the Edomites that we're gonna enslave are not American Edomites. They're gonna be Edomites throughout Rome. That's gonna be throughout Europe. Europe is gonna be hit. It's gonna be shocked. A lot of places around the world is gonna be, destroyed by earth. The whole earth is gonna quake. So this place is gonna have to be built back up again. Only place it's not gonna be built back up again is the U.S. It's gonna be a memorial. Let me read 41, Jeremiah 50, verse 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. And then all these nations, all their eyes, their focus is going to be on the United States. The first nation that backed up Israel, Biden actually hopped on the plane and went to the Middle East to say, we back up Israel. So guess what? The least of the flock shall draw them out. So you backing up the land of Israel, it will be your demise. And you watch us, and you don't believe what we're saying. You really don't believe in the prophecies. And the prophets are here, and the super elite scholars that know the scriptures, that understand the scriptures and the prophecies, they know who we are. And they're probably telling them, these are people, and it's going to happen. The Most High. So And they don't want, but the Most High is putting their pride in their heart, harden their heart like the Most High did Pharaoh. So the Most High is gonna make it do what it do. 48 verse. Then the heaven and the earth and all that are therein shall sing for Babylon. For the sport. What does it mean? Sing for Babylon. What does it mean? Sing for Babylon. Matter of fact, let's look that up. They're going to sing for Babylon. You should be thinking about Revelation chapter 18. Oh, Babylon, oh, such a great, for 1 hour. So they're going to sing for Babylon. They're going to sigh for Babylon. There it goes. Cambridge Bible. Shall rejoice over her fall. That's not all the nations. Who's going to rejoice over her fall? The Israelites and some other nations, and they're gonna be sad because they're not gonna make. China is gonna be sad because they're not gonna be making no money. As soon as American, for the most part, get a paycheck, they spend that shit. They spend. They don't save. They don't know how to invest. They're consuming nations. That's what the whole credit card was all about. Everybody that got a credit card, including myself, my first credit card, I maxed that shit out. And then the second credit card, I paid off the first one, and I learned my lesson. Because you know, it's like free money. It says, yo, man, let me get this, let me get that, let me swipe it. Then the monthly bill gets higher and higher and higher, and then it gets maxed out. Then when you get that second one, you say, no, I'm going to be conservative with that. So the American people, their spirit, you know, as soon as I get some money, I'm going to. That's why a lot of people foreclose on their homes, because they use their homes as a big, gigantic. They get some equity in the home, and they use their home for a big, gigantic ATM. Then they get caught up. Look at the student loan. Caught up with that. You can't move forward unless you pay that loan. You can't file for bankruptcy. That's the only loan that you can't file for bankruptcy for. You notice they're not saying too much. Not saying too much. Gill's exposition of the entire Bible, then the heaven and earth and all that therein shall sing for Babylon. Right, that's talking about the righteous, the Israelites. It says the apostles and the prophets shall rejoice at the destruction of her. So we know right there that it's not talking about ancient Babylon. Rejoicing at it, not at the ruin of fellow creatures simply considered, but relatively at the righteousness of the Most High in it and the glory of his justice. Right, because we're going to get justice. When we up in the ships and we seeing this place being destroyed. For the righteous shall scarcely make it, and the deliverance of many by it from tyranny and bondage. We're still in bondage. This seems to be a figurative expression often used, in which the heavens and the earth are brought in as witnesses, approvers, and applauders. We're going to applaud of what is done by the Lord Yahweh. Some Yahweh by Shem Shai, some indeed interpreted it of the angels, the inhabitants of the heavens, and it should say Israelites dwelling on earth, and others of the church, which are Israelites of the Most High in heaven and in earth, which of the two seems best. The like will be done at the fall of mystical Babylon, Revelation 18 and 20. For the spoilers, which are the missiles, shall come upon her from the north country, Russia, saith Yahweh, the Medes, Russia, and Persians, which is the people of Iran, because they're going to protect them, that should and did spoil and plunder Babylon, and who came from countries that lay north to it. So what's north to America? Actually, northeast is Russia. Russia is higher up if you look at a world map. This is the United States right here. Russia is northeast. This is the land of the north that it's talking about. Now, let me do this. Let me go to countries. I'm getting ready to close. I put in countries with long-range missiles. It says United States, Russia, China, meaning long-range ICBM missiles. That's what it means. France, India, the United Kingdom. So you got France and United Kingdom. It didn't mention Germany. It didn't mention Spain. Didn't mention Portugal. Didn't mention Greece. So these nations don't have missiles. Will they have missiles before the day is done? Because the horns, which represent EU and NATO nations, says they're going to shoot fire on them. Well, guess what? This is an EU and NATO nation. This is a NATO nation. Israel have ICBMs, possess ICBMs. North Korea possess ICBMs. And Iran has long-range missiles, ICBM, are the only countries known to have operational ICBMs. So the number one country that's going to take this place out is right here on the list. So that north country is Russia. List of the 5 longest range missiles in the world. This is number 1 on the list, even above the United States. RS-28 Cermat, also known as Satan II. America would be Satan 1, right? If Satan be divided against Satan, how can their kingdom stand? So they got a missile named after Satan. The longest range missile in the world, on the planet. Origin, Russia. Range estimated at 18,000 kilometers. When you do the math, and they say the next is United States, the next is North Korea, the next is China, because China possesses, then you got the U.S. again. China is one of the nations. China is a great ally to Russia. The only 2 NATO/EU nations that have possessed long-range missiles is France and the United States. So if France and the United States shoot their missiles on the U.S. as well, that's also fulfillment of the 10 horns. They represent the 10 horns. Or NATO and the 10 horns, because that's one unit. The beast is one beast. So you can see. You see it, right? So now it gave the range estimated at 18,000 kilometers. Let's get the range. Let's do some math here. 18,000 kilometers equal 11,000 plus miles. That's the range of the Cermat, or the Satan II, the hypersonic missile system. And when you look at this map, and I'm going to get ready to close, from here to here, we're talking a range of 5,000. Their missiles can go more than double that. Anyway, I think I said enough. Don't ask no questions because I covered everything. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.